So welcome back, guys. I hope you all have gone through all the videos about the Postman and the SoapUI. Again, if you have any doubts, you can always ask me. Now we have already developed a sanity suite in SoapUI, but we haven't done any reporting, right? The whatever the report we get, it's not that much good. So what I have thought, why can't we use the extent report that we normally use with the Selenium and the APM, right? People who have attended my earlier classes know how we can use extent report. I have a extensive playlist on extent report in my YouTube channel as well. Good. So for someone who don't know, we'll also have a brief look at it, and then we will understand how to implement that in SoapUI. Okay. Before that, I want to show you how this report is going to be. Okay. Let's say I want to run the sanity suite. Okay. I already have started my JSON server. Okay. So if we also go to my localhost 3000, it will be up and running. Okay. So this JSON server is up and running, so I can go and trigger my sanity suite. So you just need to click on this. Okay, I have voluntarily made a particular test case to fail, so that we can see it in the report whether it is failed or not. Okay, and what is the reason for the failure. So I have intentionally failed that. Okay, don't worry about it. And the reports is basically is getting generated for now in the D drive. Again, you can change the path, but for now I have given D drive. Okay, guys, if you notice, the title of this tab is automation report. And then if you also notice, we have a request response chaining, which is the name of the particular test case. And this is the name of this particular test case, right? Request response chaining. And it has certain steps, and we will have all the logs about all these steps. Okay, so first one is get employees, where it sends the employee details and get the all the employee details back. Okay, in the form of JSON. And also, if you notice, get employees, the test step is passed. And if you notice, this is the endpoint that it hit. And this particular is the response. Okay, we got this particular response for this. And then we have a faker script. Then we have a faker groovy script. It is also passed. Since there is no request and response for that, it didn't mark any request and response. Apart from that, it just marked this particular test step is a pass. Okay, and then third one is get employee, and this is the employee details that it hit, and we got the response back. And create employee is the next one that we are trying to generate. We are going to generate a new employee with this particular thing, and this is the response that we got. And next we have id transfer to id transfer, some transfers, and this is also getting passed. Okay, and then we have an update employee, where we send different first name and last name, email for all these employees, the 652 id. And this is the response we got back. And for delete employee, I have added some assertions so that it fails. Okay, if you notice, the assertions that I have added is, I want the response to be below 5 seconds, 5 milliseconds, but the response is actually 27 milliseconds. And I was expecting the response code to be basically 202, so that it fails. Basically, the response is 200. I am intentionally changed that to 202 so that it fails. Okay, and if you also notice, the same whatever the logs you are seeing here, the response did not meet SLA's 25 27 bars 5. All those information are available here. Response SLA, response did not meet the SLA, right? And valid status HTTP codes, response status 200 is not available in the accepted list of status codes. So this is the reason why it failed, right? There are multiple assertion failure, and I have logged all the multiple assertions here. Okay, and this is the details about the delete request. Okay, we send a delete request to this, and the response we got is this empty response. Only the assertion got failed. Okay, so the response is received. So this is the basic test case that we have generated. And apart from that, if you go to the tab here, okay, there is a module for, let's assume that this particular request response chaining is of login module. Okay, in those cases, you can directly go and then give. Okay, here, if you open this custom properties, okay, if you click on this, go to the custom properties, you can set the module here. Okay, module is login module, author is Amudal. This is what I have set. Okay, guys, can you switch off your video, please? Okay, so I have set manually the categories of login module, and the author is Amudal. Okay, so that's why here the category is coming as login module. Okay, and same way, if I go here, who is the author of this particular test? Amudan. So if there are multiple authors, let's say Amudan, Sachin, Dravid, whoever, and then it will list you based on your author details. Okay, and then we also have a chart which tells how many tests ran, and one test got failed, and then total test failure, total test passed, and what is the log events, how many log events we have written, all these details. And also you can see a tabular column where it clearly mentions Amudan has developed one test case, that two got failed, so he's not a good developer. Okay, so we can get some information about our particular thing. Okay, so if there is a module level details, we can understand, okay, there is a problem with the login module, so that we have to do proper testing on the particular module. So you can get all this information from the reports. So this is the report that we generated. Now we are going to see how we can generate this report first in the Java, and then we'll try to create this in the SoapUI. Yeah, if you have any doubts, you can ask later. Okay. Good. So does anyone haven't worked with external reports? Can you please let me know now, so that I go a little slow, otherwise I may pick some speed. Anyone?
I haven't, Amudan.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so we'll see step by step. Okay, so external reports is basically a library in Java. Okay, okay, no problem. We are going to see that in detail. Okay, external reports is basically a library in Java. Like we have Selenium as a library, right? We have other libraries. Same way, same way. Just a minute, guys. Yeah, same way we have external reports. Okay, so if you notice, this is my Maven project, and I have added this particular dependency, which means if I save this particular project, okay, if you go to the Maven tag and click on reload, so it will download all the dependencies, all the jar files for you guys. Okay, so if you go to the external libraries, and these are the jar files it has generated from. Okay, it has downloaded for me. So one is the com.avantstack extend reports. Okay, and then this extend reports internally uses some jar files. We call them as transitive dependencies. Okay, so this will download all these things for you. Why I am mentioning this is because in case of SoapUI, you have to download these jar files manually and add it to the bin.ext folder. We will see about that, but for now just focus that we have added this particular dependency alone to the project. We don't have anything else in this Maven project. Okay, very simple project. Let's go here. I want to create a beautiful HTML report. Okay, for that, then we need to write few lines of code, very few lines of code. Okay, so there is a class called extend reports. For that, I'm writing new extend reports. Okay, you need to create an object for that, and then there is a class called extend spark reporter. Okay, if you want to generate a HTML report, then you need to use extend spark reporter. So let me name it as spark equal to new extend spark reporter, and you need to tell the path where you want to generate the file, where you want to generate the HTML file. In my case, I want to generate in the current working directory, so I'll give a path like this. So basically what it does, it basically creates the HTML index.html within the this my first IntelliJ project folder itself. Okay, good. I already have done some practice, so it will be here, so I can go and delete it. Okay, good. Now, so this is the first step. After that, you can set some configuration. Suppose if you want to set some theme, okay, spark.config.set theme. Okay, I want to set a theme. Okay, there are two themes available. One is dark theme and one other is standard theme. Okay, for now I am keeping the standard theme. And then if you want to give some title, okay, config.set document title. Okay, automation report, something like this. Okay, you can also give that. And now after that, now you need to tell reports dot attach reporter. Okay, and then spark. That's it. So this is the first 5 lines of statement you need to write, so that what it does is it creates a HTML file. It applies some themes, it will apply some document title, and then it will attach that to this particular report. Okay, for now, just imagine you just need this 5 lines of code. Okay, after that, you need to create a test case. Okay, let's go to this. Guys, this is the whole HTML file. Okay, in that I want to create a new test node. Here we have created as request response chaining, right? This is a test case detail. Okay, test case detail, and these are all different test steps involved in the same test case. Okay, this is the step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Okay, so first I need to create this test case node, okay, inside the HTML report. For that, you just need to write one line of code: reports dot create test, and give the test case name. I am giving us first test. Okay, that's it. If you, it will give you back the test object. Okay, so if you created a test, okay, then it will give you a test. Okay, you have created a node in the HTML report. Now using that, you can write the intricate, the step level details for that particular test case. Okay, let's write some. Okay, test dot first I want to mark it as pass. Okay, uh, test 1 is started successfully, and then test dot info, test 1 info, something like this. Okay, then test dot was test 1 is finished. These are all dummy logs. Okay, now this is the first test case. Suppose I want to create one more test case. What I need to do, I just need to copy paste the whole stuff. Okay, and let me name it as uh, uh, some different names, so that it's more meaningful. Okay, see, I want to log. I have created a new test case node. It will create a new test case node. In that test case, I want to write these logs. Okay, so that's why we need to refer this here. Okay, and then here I can mention test2 is started successfully. Maybe I will intentionally fail this particular test case. Okay, test2 is failed miserably. Okay, you can give like this. Okay, now once you do all the stuff, at the end, last, you need to tell reports dot flush. This is the last step. Only if you run this step, last step. Okay, only if you run it, it'll write all the logs. It will write the logs in the report. Otherwise, it's not right. Okay, so this is a very simple piece of code, right? Very easy code. First, we are doing some initialization where we are defining where we want to create the HTML report, what kind of theme we are looking for. If we want to give some title, we can also give that. And then we are telling, there is a way that we can create multiple reports, but for now, just imagine whatever the report that we are going to generate, it's going to be of Spark type. You can have multiple types, but this time it is going to be of Spark type, so it will create a HTML report for us. Okay, in that HTML report, I want to create a node for a test case, that is first test, and then in that first test, I want to write 3 logs. Okay, the same way in the second one, so maybe I'll name it as second test, and then I want to write these logs. Okay, I'm intentionally failing this particular test case. Okay, so that it marks properly in the report. And at the end, you need to write, call the flush method, so that whatever the things that you have written, it will be written to the HTML report. Okay, so let's try to run it and then see what's happening. Okay, okay, now it has generated a HTML report for me. If you notice, just open it in uh, Chrome, and this is the standard theme, right? So it is coming in white color, the standard theme light color. Okay, so if you notice, the first test is the name that we have given, it's here. Okay, the first test. Okay, the name of the thing we have given is first test. In the first test, we have written 3 logs. Okay, in the first test, we have written 3 logs. Test 1 is started successfully, test 1 info, test 1 is finished successfully, right? And info means it will come in just an information. Okay, pass means this particular test case is a pass. Okay, same way we have created a second node, that is second test case. Okay, second test here. And I, for that also I have written log. Again, the rule is if there is any one test step that is getting failed in a particular test case, that particular test case will be marked overall as a fail. Okay, here if you notice, this is a test case that is getting failed. Even though it has three steps, one is pass, one is info, one is fail. If there is at least one particular test step that is failed in a test case, the entire test case will be marked as a fail. Okay, good. And you can also go and see the dashboard. Okay, this is the dashboard. How many tests got passed, how many tests got failed, and what are the total events. Okay, and this is the timeline. This will be only interesting if there is a little bit of break. It will tell you each test case how much time it took. Okay, good. So now to customize this, we also have some options. Let's say I want to have an information in the report. Let's say I'm a lead. I want to know there are 10 people working with me. They have developed some tests. I want to analyze who is developing good tests. So in those cases, what you can do, this particular first test, maybe if it is created by Amudan, let's say, then you can tell test dot assign author. Okay, who has created this? Okay, maybe this is created by Amudan. Okay, and then let's say I also want to have an information about which module this particular test case belongs to. That also I want to have in the report, so that it's easy for me to analyze as a lead or a manager, right? So what I can do, assign category. Okay, this particular test case belongs to login module. Can add those information the same way. I can copy this, can paste it here, and this was developed by Sachin. And this is maybe payment module, so that okay, you can see that in reports. Let's try to run it again and then see what's happening. We want to have enough information in the report so that it's easy to analyze. Let's reload this particular stuff. And if you notice here, the first test case, now we have new tags, more than Sachin, payment module, all those stuff. So which basically means there is a new options here. Okay, this is test case level details. Okay, and this is the dashboard that we seen before, and this is the author level details. This is the author level details. Suppose, let's see, Amudan has created one test, and that is first test, and that is also pass. Okay, it will also give you clear information. Okay, Sachin also developed one test, and this is also pass, something like this. Okay, and if you also go to the module level, so login module is basically pass, payment module is also pass. Okay, I think both are telling first test, both are referencing to first test only. So because I need to give demo test dot, let's try to run it, because there is a test case that is getting failed, but it is not reflecting properly. So there was a mistake. Let's try to run it again and reload it. Okay, now if you notice, the login module, there is one pass. In payment module, the test case is failed. Okay, and in the author level information, Amudan has created one test and one got passed, and Sachin has developed one test and one got failed. Okay, even if you develop more test cases, it will clearly give you in green colors. Okay, let's also do that so that you guys get a clear idea. So there is a third test case that is also developed by, okay, okay, let's say that is also developed by Sachin, but that got passed. That is also belongs to payment module. Okay, let's name this as third test. Okay, now let's reload this HTML. And if you notice, there is a third test that now. So if you notice, Sachin has developed two tests, one got passed and one got failed. If you go to the dashboard, you get a clear information. Sachin has developed two, one got passed, one got failed. His pass percentage is 50. In login module, we have one passed, and payment module, we have one passed and one failed. Okay, so these are all the information that we could get with the help of extend reports. Okay, any doubts before we try to implement this in the SoapUI? I said you need a yes or no, so that now I can proceed further.
No doubt, sir.
Okay, okay, no doubts. Okay, which Good. Okay. So yeah, very simple, very simple. Okay, it's a very simple. I have also a extend report playlist in my YouTube channel, so you can there is a detailed video on how to generate these extend reports, what sort of customizations we can do, all those stuffs are there. Okay, so yeah, basically you can also have a look at it. Okay, now I want to take this knowledge to the SoapUI because SoapUI doesn't have any reporting, so that I want to implement this in the SoapUI. Okay, then you need to follow certain steps one by one. Okay, good guys, that's what we are going to do. I have already marked them, I have already done that. Okay, I have created a step by step process for you guys. Okay, good. First, if you want to generate external report for SoapUI test, first you need to get the clear idea how it is working with Java. Okay, so we have seen that. Okay, already seen that. We know how it will work with Java. Now I need to add the necessary jar files to the lib/extension folder. Okay, so these are all the libraries that it downloaded. Okay, notice these are all the libraries that it downloaded, and I need to go to this particular location, take those jar file and put it in the place. So what I have done is I have already done that. Okay, go to program files, smart beer, SoapUI, pin, extension. This is the folder you need to keep those jar files. Okay, uh, this common slang and other stuff for faker library. Okay, so you have to be very sure. com.ivanstock.external reports 5.0.5. Okay, this is the 5.0.5. Then json library 2.8.6. Okay, use exactly the same version, guys. If you use 5.05 for this and 2.8.3 for this, there may be compatibility issues. So whatever the, if you just download using the dependencies, maven dependencies, use the exact versions of the same jar file. Okay, so 3.0.4. okay, all this rx java 3.0.4, free market 2.3.30. so these jar files, just add it. Okay, for you I will directly put it in the video today. Like I will put it in the same folder in these jar files, so you can directly copy them and put it here. You don't have to go and download them manually. I will do that for you. Okay, I'll directly upload in the drive. You can download and put it in this particular place. Okay, so this is the first step. First you need to add the necessary jar files, then you need to close your SoapUI and open it. Okay, then only it will get those knowledge. Okay, okay, now the second step is done. Now there is a third step that you need to do. What is that? Create a new test suite called library and disable it to avoid execution. Okay, let's go here. That's what I have done. So maybe I'll remove this whole stuff and then I'll recreate it again. Okay, let's also have a look whether I have copy of it, otherwise it'll all go waste. Okay, okay, no. Okay, so now let's remove this, and then maybe in your case you'd not be there. Okay, let's do it one by one. Okay, and then we also have some scripts here. Okay, let's also remove that and tear down scripts. Let's remove all this, whatever the changes that I have done, and then I will do it again, all again. Okay, good guys. So this is the state you will also have in your machine. Okay, now if I run it, it won't generate any report. Okay, now we are going to do the integration one by one. So in the project that you are trying to run, so this is the JSON server project that I'm working with. I have only one test suite, that is sanity suite. You can name it anything, but in the same project you need to create a new test suite. Okay, this is for reporting purpose. Okay, library. Once you create this, the next step is you need to disable it. So right click and then disable test suite. Okay, this is a detailed instruction. Next, create a new test case with this particular name, reporting utility. Okay, let's go and do it. Create a new test case, reporting underscore utility, and then we have created it. Okay, now after that, add a groovy script called generate HTML report. Okay, I need to create a new test step. Okay, let's open this report. Okay, add a new test step, that is groovy script with the name of generate HTML report. Okay, okay, done. And then what they are telling, add the code snippets to the setup script, tear down script to the suite level, and add the code to call the generate HTML report. Good. So now guys, if you notice in this, we have created this particular thing, right? Okay, If you notice, let me remove some of them. Okay, let me remove this. Let me put it in one single screen. Okay, if you notice, this is something that is executed only once. Okay, this is executed only once per test suite. Okay, that too before executing the test suite. Okay, this last thing is it will be executed only once per test suite after executing the particulars, because we will generate the report for every test suite. Okay, so that's why this particular line of statement has to be executed only in the after executing all the test cases in the test suite. Okay, and if you notice, we need to create a test, do all this information for every test case. Okay, this is for every test case. Okay, you can also remove this because this is also a test case. So for every test case, we need to create a test. We need to call this create test so that it creates a node, and then we can assign author, category, pass, fail info, everything. Okay, so but for every test case, we need to run. So there are only two things. There is certain set of statement that you need to execute before the suite. There is certain set of statement that you need to execute after the suite, and there is certain set of repeatable statement that you need to execute for every test case. Okay, so there is only three things. Now I copy paste this. Okay, just copy this, and then see, this needs to be executed before this test suite. If you go to this SoapUI, I opened the sanity suite. This is a suite. There is something called a setup script. See, if I hover my mouse over this script to run before running the test suite. Okay, so if you put some script here, it will be executed before running this particular test suite. Okay, then in those cases, what you can do, whatever the code that you have there, okay, whatever the code that you have there, you can copy it and paste it here. But you also need to copy the import statements. Okay, just copy all the import statements that you have and then paste it here along with the this particular thing. Okay, import statements, you need to add it in the front. That's it, guys. Okay, this is the first step. Same way, we have a tear down script, that is this. Okay, and then this is a tear down script. This is also fine. But if you notice, this reports is something, you know, if you notice, this reports is fleshed here. Okay, these are all in the same class, same method, so it can understand reports means this is an external report and this is. But if you notice, we have splitted this now into two different things. Okay, so what are the reports that I'm trying to flesh is basically the reports that I have created here. In those cases, you need to set this. Okay, you need to uh, you know store this in some place and then access it down in the tear down script. For that, okay, we are already I have written the code. Okay, so almost same code. Okay, not much of difference. There is not much of difference between these two. The only difference is, okay, after adding this, I am storing this. I am storing whatever the reports that you have generated in a new variable. Okay, if you tell context dot report equal to whatever the reports that I have generated, I have stored to this particular context. Okay, once you store this in the tear down script, instead of just calling this, if you tell context dot report, which means it basically gives you the reports. Okay, you are storing in some place and then you are accessing here. Okay, context dot report dot flush. That's it. So this is the code that I now you need to change. Okay, that is the only change. This is because here we are writing it in the same place, but there we are splitting it. So that's the reason we have to write it like this. Okay, so this is the code context dot report dot flush. So that's exactly what we have written here. Okay, any doubts here before we proceed further? These are all just one-time efforts, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Okay, these are all just one-time efforts. Okay, any doubts, guys, before we at least yes or no? Someone can switch on their mics, okay, and then tell so that I can get a confident that I can proceed further.
It is clear.
Clear, Amudan.
Okay, good. So yeah, so the thing is, again, so they're all in the same place, so it know what is the reports, and then we could be able to flush it. But here we are leveraging the context is a variable in SoapUI which can help you to store something and then retrieve it back at the later point of time. Here we are storing the reports, the external reports reference to this particular report variable, and then we are referencing that back in the teardown script. That's it, very simple. Now I also have one more setup. Two things are done already. Two things are done. There is only one more thing that is pending. This is this. So now this particular thing has to be executed for every test case. Okay. Again, I at the runtime I want to generate the log. See here, the logs are very simple. Test is started successfully. Test info. Test one is finished successfully. But it is not the same in SoapUI. In SoapUI, each step test step. So this is a test step. Okay, if I run it, it will gives me a response. Okay, I need to get this information. I need to get this information and store it in the log. Okay, so there is a lot of work that I need to do. Okay, if I if I go here to this particular test case, okay, first you can go here and then just directly add that. Okay, this is the statement that I want to execute this particular statement for everything. Okay, that's okay. So this will basically generate the report for you. So let's see what's happening. Okay, I also, whenever you are doing this, okay, there is an extend test class that you are using, so don't forget to import. Maybe you can just import the extend test alone, or you can also basically import everything. So in my case, I'm just importing extend test. Okay, once you import this, then it will work. Now if I try to run the sanity suite, it will generate a report for me. Okay, and it will generate it in the root file, it seems. So let's try to generate it. Okay, now it has generated the report, but basically the system.user.dir is here. Okay, it is on the C drive, so it won't be able to do it. Just a minute, guys. See, the thing is, if I go to the sanity suite setup script, we are telling generated in the D HTML. Okay, so let's go to the D HTML. So now it has generated this, but it has not generated any node for me. Okay, this is because we need to modify certain things in the teardown script. Okay, so let's go here and then let's go to this teardown script instead of directly doing this. Okay, instead of directly doing this, because if you notice, this reports is not understandable. So if you go to the SoapUI log, you would have thrown null pointer exception. Okay, there is no such thing. Okay, you are trying to use something called as reports, which I don't know. So in those cases, I need to use context.report.create test. Then it will work. Okay, let's try to run it again. So now the first test is there. Test is started successfully. Test info. Test is finished. So if it is a very simple things like this, then we can do it. Okay, but if in a real time we are going to generate 100 test cases. Okay, in those cases I am trying to create a reusable component so that I can use it across in different places, and that's the win. Okay, instead of I go and directly write them in the teardown script. Okay, I directly write them in the teardown script. What I'm going to do, I'm going to call this particular generate HTML report Groovy script. Okay, if I call this Groovy script, I'm going to write all the logic to generate the logs for this particular for a test case. Okay, all test cases, whatever the test case may be. Okay, I'm going to generate the logs for them. Okay, so instead of this, I'm going to just make a call to this. Okay, let's go here and just copy this. After every test case, okay, once you execute every test case, then what I'm doing, there is a test suite called as library. Okay, there is a test case called as reporting utility, and then there is a test step called as generate HTML report. I want to run that particular test step. Okay, that's what we are telling here. Okay, just 2 lines of code. You don't have to worry too much. If you are giving different names, please change the name here. Okay, that's the reason I have given. So if you are giving reporting library, then you need to change the suite name as reporting library. Okay, this is the step. Now in this HTML report is where we are going to write all the codes. Okay, whole code is going to be here. Okay, this code is little tricky, but yeah, I'm gonna explain this to you. It's not like you need to memorize this. Nobody is going to ask you in an interview, but yeah, just copy pasted this here. what I'm doing. Okay, there are certain bunch of import statements that we may use, so I'm also having that. Okay, if you notice, there is certain things that I'm doing. Okay, there is a test author. If you want to give author name, category name, that and all you want to give, then I am asking them, okay, go ahead and give it in the properties, in the custom properties, create something called as author and then give the value, create something called as category and give the value. Okay, we will be fetching that in the runtime, and we will create, do this. I assign author and then we'll give the author name, we'll assign category and we will the category name. This is what we have done here, right? So we have used assign author and then the author name, assign category and then the category name. Okay, the same thing we are doing here, not much of difference. Okay, only thing is we are fetching this author value and category value from the test case level properties, custom properties. Okay, if someone is not giving those information, then it will not be there, so we don't have to log it. Okay, good. Now what we are doing now, this test runner variable have all the results about each of these particular test step. So this particular test case is having 10 test steps, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 10 test steps. All these results after executing this results will be available in this particular get results method. Okay, I am iterating that one by one using the for loop. Okay, so those will be given to me one by one. Okay, now I am checking, hey, if the status is equal to okay, then I'm marking notice that particular test step is passed. Okay, whatever the test step name is there, that is passed. Here the test step name is get employees, so that is passed. I will mark that. Okay, first let's try to run the stuff and then generate the report, and then I can explain you clearly. Okay, so this is the report that it generated, right? So if you notice, the first set of statement that we wrote is uh, create test and then the test case name. Okay, that's why request response chaining is the test case name, that it has generated a node. Again, the report is context dot report is the same report that we have stored in the context, and we are retrieving it here. Okay, good. For each test step we are iterating and we are checking whether the result is okay. If the result is okay, I'm marking that is passed. Okay, here the get employees is passed because SoapUI has given me a okay result. Okay, and then next one, what I am doing, if it is a failed, then I am just marking that as a failed. Okay, in our example there is a last step that is failed. Okay, delete employee, that is failed. Okay, in order to color this, in red color, okay, I am using some markup helper dot create label. This label is going to be of red color. Okay, if I give blue color, it will be highlighting in blue, but for now this is a failure, right? So I am marking that in red color, and I'm telling this particular test step is failed. That's what it's telling, this particular test step is failed. Okay, and if it is a failure, then there will be some assertion that is getting failed. Okay, correct. So those assertions I am getting one by one, and then again I'm using markup helper to mark it as in a red color. Okay, if I don't use a markup helper, it will just mark it in uh, the same like this. Okay, so if you want to highlight, you can use markup helper, otherwise you can just highlight, just use like this. Okay, good. So it will get one by one. If there are 100 assertion failures, then it will get all the assertion failures one by one and mark it like this. Okay, and then if the type is just a request or rest request, which means if the type is let's say here the get employees is a rest request. Okay, it is a rest request, then only I need to mark the request and response here. Okay, the response is this, the request that we sent is this. Okay, I need to tell request is this and the response that I got is this. Okay, I need to mark the request and response in the report also, then only we can get the enough information, right? Otherwise we cannot debug later point of time. So only if it is request, a rest request or an XML request, then only I need to perform this step. Okay, for property transfers, for Groovy scripting, for everything, for these kind of JDBC request, I don't want to mark the request and response. So only if it is a XML request, so this will check whether it is an XML request. This will check whether this is a JSON request, a REST request. Okay, JSON REST request. If it is a REST request, then it'll get the value. So I'm getting the request value. So this is the request value, and this is the response value. I'm getting those. and then I am marking it. So if the request is only greater than 0, so the request length, sometimes in the get call and all, suppose we are making a get call, we are not sending any request information there. In those cases I don't want to mark it. So only if the request length, if I send some body in the post request or put request, then only I want to mark the request body. Otherwise the request body will come as empty. That is little noisy. So I'm using some little trick here, and then I'm marking the request. Okay, first I'm telling this is a request, and then below it I'm just marking markup folder dot is this of JSON, and then I'm passing the request. Okay, this is a JSON, so it will come in highlight in Sebastian, so it's in green color, right? So if I only use this markup language, then it will be displayed properly. Otherwise it will be just coming as a plain string, very difficult to interpret. Now it is giving little bit of coloring code, so it will be easy to understand. Okay, the same way if it is of XML request, then I'm using XML language to mark this information. Again, we have worked on a SOAP project, right, previously. The same thing, we can also run it and then check it. So the same suite, we run it, it got failed, but anyways, let's try to run it. So if you notice, this is the test case one. This is the get country name test. This is the request parameter that we passed. Okay, and this is the response parameter that we got, response that we got, and country name is passed, and get country code is failed, and there is a response SLA that is failed. I am expecting it to be less than 10 milliseconds. It is 207 milliseconds. Again guys, I didn't highlight this in red color, so that's why it is not highlighted. And then this is the request that we sent, and this is the response that we got. Okay, so very clearly it is giving you the things. Okay, you can also have the information at the dashboard level. Okay, so that's all about. You can use the same thing for your XML request, SoapUI, as well as the JSON request and response. Okay, even though you didn't understand any of this, that's completely all right. Okay, it's just a reporting utility. Okay, it's not like if I use external reports, I don't know what they have written the code inside the external reports. That is not a mandatory thing, right? So if someone is asking you to create a HTML report in Groovy, just follow these steps. That's very important. Okay, if you just identify all the necessary jar files, put in this particular part, create a library, disable it, create a test case, create a Groovy script of this name, add the test setup script, tear down script, HTML script. Okay, every script I will give you. Okay, I have them marked here. Okay, this is my setup script. Okay, that I need to put in the suite level. This is a tear down script in the suite level. This one I need to mark it on each test case. If I create one more test case, I need to add this in the tear down script. I need to call this particular one. Okay, and then this is the generate HTML report Groovy script. Okay, I will give this file to you. You guys can use it. Okay, or I will just export this project in the XML. You can just import in your thing, and then you can go through the code. Okay, very simple code, guys. Not much of complexity. I have developed this over the weekend, so maybe there is still some scope for optimization. You can also do that once you can go through some extent report blocks. But yeah, this is what you need to do. Once you're done with all these things, you need to always execute your suite level. Okay, because that's where we have our setup script and tear down script. If you execute at the test case level, the report won't be generated correctly. Okay, so it's very important that you execute them at the suite level. Okay, so now if you click on send, everything is getting passed. Sorry, the fail is there. Okay, that's okay. If I go here, yeah, you can. Okay. This is the report, it is getting generated. Okay, good. So if I go to this particular test case again, I'll remove the assertions, then everything will get passed. Let's go to the delete employee. That's where everything is getting failed. Response SLA, let me give it as instead of 5, let me give it as 300 milliseconds, and validation process basically to work. Okay, let's go. Now if I try to run this test suite, everything is getting passed. Good, guys. So this is all about reports. Now let's see whether it is getting passed. Yes, now the request response chaining is getting passed. Okay, we understood how we can generate a random value. We also understood how we can create a beautiful HTML reports. Guys, even I don't know, in the last batch that I took, I only created CSV reports and text files. I was not satisfied. Suddenly I thought about implementing this in SoapUI. I worked over the weekend, and then this is the first time I'm teaching. Okay, so if there is still scope for optimization in the code, you can do it. Good. Any doubts in this?
It's clear, Amudan.
Good. Anything, any doubts, guys? Even if you have a code level doubt, okay, suppose you don't understand what is this doing, okay, then you can ask me, okay, but it is not that mandatory that you need to know each and everything. Where I find all this information, that's all from the external report sites. Okay, let me pin this to the bottom. If you go to the external report sites, okay, if you notice, if you want to highlight something in blue color, okay, then these guys are telling it will highlight like this. Okay, use a code like this. Okay, I copy pasted this and then I changed the blue to red. Okay, that's the only difference that I make. I referred everything from the external reports official documentation. Suppose you want to mark some JSON files, okay, then they are getting, okay, use a snippet like this, code language.json, and pass the JSON here. That's what exactly I have used here. Okay, if you notice, code language.json, and what is the JSON? Same thing, markup file for dot create code block, everything is almost the same. Okay, create code block, JSON, the code language, everything whatever they have developed, I'm just reutilizing the same. And suppose in some cases, if you want to mark the request in this side and the response in this side, then they are telling use a snippet like this. You can pass a string array and pass request code and the response code. You can also try this. Okay, in my case I didn't try it, but yeah, if you want, you can also try this, so that the report can be generated in single line. Okay, instead of uh, the request is here and then the response is here, you can come side by side. Okay, that's absolutely fine. You can also try all those stuff. Okay, but everything that I learned is from their official documentation. Okay, go to this documentation. If you want to highlight in different color, you can also do that. You want to display a table, you can also do that. Okay, you can go through this and then you can understand it. Okay, so all this author information, all these things. Okay, if you want to set some system info also, you can also do this using this particular code. Okay, but yeah, I'm not doing that. That's not mandatory for us. Okay, so yeah, if you want, you can go through over it and then let me know. Okay, let's say for the project to the Google Drive. Yeah, I'll do that. See, it's just if I export this, it will be just an XML file. Okay, you can access that XML file. You can just import it. Okay, let's do it. So if someone is giving you an XML file to import, you can just click on import. Okay, choose that XML file. Suppose I have list of files here. Just choose that and then click on open. That's it. It will open here. Okay, you don't have to do any changes. Okay, that will absolutely run fine. Good. There is only one thing that I failed to cover, that is running this from the command prompt. Okay, double click this. If you want to run it from the SoapUI, you can just click on here. But if you want to run it from command prompt and other stuff, right click on launch test runner. Okay, if you notice, this is a test suite that I'm trying to run. What is the test case that you want to run? Okay, this is all test cases. Okay, then click on launch. Okay, this is basically executing in the command prompt only. Okay, even though we are seeing this in UI, basically this is executing in the command prompt. Okay, it is still throwing some errors. Okay, but yeah, but you can fetch. If you want to exactly use it in the command prompt, then you can copy this particular statement, go to this, go to the bin folder there. Go to the bin folder, and then there is a test runner.batch. Just copy this. Okay, so, guys, if you notice, there is a test runner.bat file. This is the bat file that's going to help us to run this particular project. Okay, in case of Mac machine, you will have a shell script. Okay, so let's try to run it and then see what's happening. It is executing the soap test, all those stuff. Okay, then it will also generate the report. Okay, just go here and then reload the project. Okay, so it got failed now. It's okay, but yeah, so this is all about how we can run it from command prompt. The same code, you can basically use it. You can call it from Jenkins also. Okay, the same command. Okay, using a batch file. Okay, batch commands. Okay, so that you can try it out. That's all about today. So we have already on time. So if you want to there is only one small topic pending. If you want to get some data from Excel, you can also write some small snippets of code and then get it. So that's not a big deal. Maybe we can see that tomorrow, and then we'll have a break, and then we'll get started with rest assured. Okay. Any doubts before we wrap the session? Again, guys, there is something called as load test. You can go and try it. Okay. Suppose you have a test step that you want to create a load test. You can also go here and then create new load test. You can do some performance testing for what you want to perform. There are so many things available here. Okay. How many parallel users you want to give, what is the number of threads, what is the strategy you want to give. Okay. What is the delay time period. Okay. How long you want to run this load test. Okay. All these things you can do. You can set up your load test assertions here. If you want to do some setup script and tear down script, you can also do it here. Okay. So basically you can use this to perform this. Suppose let's say I'm using get employees. I am passing 5 maybe, and then I want to execute for 10 seconds. Okay. Let's try to run it. It basically executing the whole stuff on the all these APIs. Okay. So it ran all this information, and then we got all the logs now. Okay. So yeah, you can add some assertions here. Everything is fine. So you can click on the charts. So it'll also give you the charts. So if you notice, it's very small. Okay, it's scattered charts, but yeah, resolution, I don't know. Yeah, so basically it's giving you some charts. I didn't explore much, but yeah, you can do the load testing using SoapUI also. You can leverage all these things. Okay. That's all about SoapUI. We have something called as Excel reading that I will cover tomorrow, and then after that we'll get head towards rest issue. Okay, practice, guys. It's a more important that you guys need to practice. I'll send all the jar files, the project, the code snippets, everything. I'll send it. Okay, so you just need to copy paste in the right place, and then just make sure that they are all working. Okay. Any doubts before we close our sessions?
Yeah, hi, Anutan. One query.
Yeah.
Like in the scripts you have for the report generation, you have said like if the status is okay.
Yeah.
So if in case of like when we get 201 as created, so will it work in that case as well?
Yeah. So see, the SOAP UI doesn't know whether it is a get request or post request, or it is a property transfer, all those things. All it know is basically a test step. Okay. In case of property transfer step, right? If a property is getting transferred from one source to target, then it will mark it as a okay. Okay. In case of post request, if you send the response correctly, if it come backs correctly and all the assertions are got passed, then it will be marked as okay. It doesn't matter whether the response code, whatever the assertion logic that you are writing there is very important. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
You got it? Hello.
Yes. Got it, Amudan. Thanks.
Just the assertion. Yeah. And
Hi, Muthan, Abhishek here.
hi, Abhishek. Yeah.
Muthan, one query related not to this SoapUI but to the Postman. Like, can we like while we run like the test from the collection?
Mhm.
So like there are 4 test cases like get, post, call, those. So
Yeah.
let's say after the post call, we want to like certain validation. Then like let's say like in post call, like we want like if certain condition are met, then only the next get call will be triggered. Is it
Mhm.
possible to achieve?
Mm, yeah, we can do the conditional stuff, but but if there is a failure, it'll you can write some
Actually,
logic.
in my
It's
project, like there is an API call.
Mhm.
First, there is a post call, and like it do a pre-check validation. Okay,
Mhm.
and for pre-check, like it takes up some times. Like sometime it's 30 second, or
Mhm.
and once it is like while pre-check is doing, its status code is like 201 or 202 kind of thing. Once it is completed, then it
Mhm.
is change. Then status code change to something. Then we can proceed with the next step, like executing the test cases and all.
Yeah, you can do that. See, it's all about JavaScript. You have the liberty to use a scripting language. So let's say I want to go to the post. Okay, suppose let's assume only if this is passed. Okay, I want to call this. Okay, maybe in those cases, what I can do, I can set some variables here, or there is little bit of stuff that you can do. There is something called as postman dot set next request. Okay, so this particular request, suppose I want to execute get employee detail. Okay, get. Okay, if we call this thing, what happens, it calls the get employee detail by code. Okay, so if there is some, you apply some logic. Okay, let's say I apply some boolean. So if something is true, then I want to execute this. Okay, in your case, whatever the logic you want to write, you can write it there. Else, okay, you point this to null. Okay, postman dot set next request to null. If you point like this, okay, if this condition is true, then only it will do this. Okay, otherwise it will point to null, so that it won't go to the next step. I can write like this. Okay,
Okay.
got it?
Yeah, yeah, I need to explore more on this.
So postman dot set next request helps you to programmatically call a API. Okay, if the particular condition is matching. Okay, suppose in your case I want to check when the response. Okay, pm dot response. Okay, dot we have that right, vm dot response dot code. Okay, uh, is equal to 0, then I want to, sorry, 200 or 201, whatever. In this case, I want to call this next one. Else, I don't want to call this. I'll just point it to null, which means it won't execute any of this. Suppose you want to call any other API also, you can also do it. Okay, you can give that API name. If you point it to null, which means it will stop. That's it. It won't do anything. Okay, after that.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah, Muthan, like I need to explore this one.
Okay, just try it out. Okay, good. Anything from anybody else? Okay, so actually you need to use 3 equals. Okay, in JavaScript, 3 equals, I think. Okay, maybe you just need to see how you have to compare. I'm not a JavaScript expert, but yeah, you can do it. Okay, that's all from my side. We will connect tomorrow again, guys. We'll complete the pending thing in SoapUI, and if possible, we'll cover some more topics. And then from Friday, we'll head towards rest assured. Okay, that's where we need to focus more. We'll learn about that. Okay, good guys. Bye. I'll see you guys on tomorrow. See you guys tomorrow. Okay, you all have a very good day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.